What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be making a spooky Halloween ghost head mask using Blender and Roblox Studios. So yeah. Alright, so first we first delete the starting cube because we don't need it. We add our sphere mesh into Blender. We cut the back half off just to make sure, you know, there's like the what's it called, the sphere is hollow, which it is, so I just paste the back on. And to make a pumpkin, I first make sure I can delete some of the vertices, and I make it solid so it's actually thick, and it, you know, has the inside which I can use to like mess around with. And then I make some, what's it called, bevels and edges using sculpt, the sculpt mode, so I can more refine the actual, you know, structure of a pumpkin. And here I go to X-ray mode, which is actually very hard because then I would look through the pumpkin and select way more points than I would actually need. And I delete all the surfaces which do not form to form out some eyes. And then here you see me adding faces to all the, or I guess, broken sides which don't have any like surfaces. Here I noticed that I missed the point a little bit, but yeah, I couldn't be bothered, so I kind of just left it. And now I think I tried fixing it, but I just didn't fix it in the end because it's gonna take too long. And then here I get the basic eye shape of a pumpkin carve out, so, you know, just kind of pointy on the side. And then I'm not gonna make the eyes even because then it would look kind of weird. Or I mean, it wouldn't look weird, but like it wouldn't look natural. So to make it more natural, I just make a square, like a little smaller eye on the left, or for the pumpkin's left eye, you know, to disorientate it a bit. And yeah, that's what I went with. Looks good enough to me. So I edit the bottom to try to add a mouth, you know, because skeleton is supposed to have a mouth. Or sorry, not skeleton. Pumpkin is supposed to have a mouth. But I quickly figure out that doesn't look 100% right. Like, I tried figuring out how to delete a whole face, but couldn't figure it out. So instead I just went with the plain method of deleting the vertices, and then customizing it later by adding faces to all the sides, which took a while, but you know, it made it more easy or simpler than trying to add or take away some faces from vertices. I was just going inside here to make sure that the pumpkin was actually like moving correctly, because it kept throwing me off the way the shadows worked. Like here it doesn't look like it's connected right, so I tried going back and redoing the surface, and this time I actually made sure I clicked all of them perfectly, pressed F, and yeah, still it doesn't look 100% right. I don't really know why, but I kind of ran with it because it looked good enough. It snapped to enough grid points where it didn't look 100% off, and I just tucked in the teeth to make sure it, you know, wasn't sticking out like a vampire, because I'm not making a vampire, I'm making a pumpkin. And then I make a bottom tooth, which just stick out a little bit. It looks kind of weird, so I make the edges a little smaller here. I believe I like tuck it in a little bit. Yeah, I do. And I realized I didn't have a face on them, so like that's why it wasn't working correctly, which is kind of weird. Oh, and now I get it. Now in editing I get it. So I made a one big face when you're supposed to make segmented faces, so like snap better. And here I'm making eye sockets, so like the inside of the pumpkin would glow. And so I make a very low polyed circle. Actually, sorry, here I make the hood first. Yeah, so low polyed because, you know, the mesh on the outside isn't supposed to be super thick. I was going for a chainmail look with some armor on it, so I deleted the front half so you can actually see the pumpkin face, and a little bit of the bottom half, so it looks more like a hood. And after this, I solidify the object so it's, you know, thick and it looks like actual, you know, cloth, not just some random piece of paper hanging off the side of the pumpkin. I try to go for instead of applying the solidify now, or yeah, before like the pumpkin where it's like thick, I went without applying the solidify. so it's easier to mess around with. I tried extruding the edges, but it didn't work since I didn't solidify it yet, so I had nothing to extrude. It would just be that single angles, but like it wasn't working with the mesh correctly. And then I saw like the back of the pumpkin head was clipping a little bit, so I made the hood a little bit thicker, and then I extruded the back so it covered the whole head and it looked good without showing any clip meshes. And then here I'm just roundifying it so it doesn't look so bad. And I realized here I could have used extrude now because I had 2 solid points, but yeah, I didn't realize that until later, a little later. So I tried to mess around with the angles to make it like hug the face correctly, but yeah, that didn't work right. And I realized I could just do extrude instead of add vertices, but like since I made the angle wrong or like weird, it didn't exactly snap to the right point, so I had to make another one. And I tucked it in again. And here I just made it more like hood-like so it wouldn't look as D-shaped. And I fixed the mesh renders in the back again. And I was happy with this look. You know, nothing too complex, it's just Roblox. And after this, I add some glowing eyes. Yep, here I go. I went with a very low poly, or like very low angled eye first, but it didn't really fit the socket right. So I had to reshape it, and I went with a more high polyed object, which luckily didn't increase my triangles too much, so it still fit in actual Roblox. And I duplicated that once I got the right eye in place. Yep, it looked good, so I just duplicated it. Oh, actually, first I fixed the eye shape a little bit because it was a little too wide, so I tucked it in a little bit more so it didn't look as off, and it fit better with the eye. And I duplicated it, moved it over, put the second eye, and then I tried I believe making the mouth now glow, so I duplicated it one more time, and then I close everything off so I can see the actual sphere because I want to make it like more oval shape so it fits the whole mouth. So I extend the whole thing over, shrink it down a little bit because it doesn't need to be too wide. And now it just looks kind of weird, you know, hanging out the side of the mouth. So I have to refocus it, put it in correctly, angle it correctly. I went with that look because it looked correct. I tried smooth shading everything, but it looked kind of weird. So instead I just smooth shaded the, the hood, the eyes, and the mouth because it looked better for the pumpkin to be rigid, because that's what actual pumpkins look like. And after that, I added some textures. I went to Google, looked up what chainmail looked like for the hood, looked up a pumpkin texture for the pumpkin, and I looked up some glowing lights, but it took me a while to find one that would actually work because I was trying to have it pop more than like it already would, but I couldn't find the right file at first. And I tried to search around a bit. Then I found a cool like textured glow. It looked more like a sci-fi portal, so I went with that. I added all the textures together in one big file, so I can shape it all and have it all in the same texture file, because that's how you're supposed to upload it into Roblox Studio, because then it wouldn't read correctly with the software. So here I'm expanding the canvas so I can fit all 3 designs in one texture, or in one file size. So I put the big pumpkin on top because, you know, most of the pumpkin, or most of the object will be a pumpkin, so yeah, it's the biggest part. And then I put chainmail because it's surrounding the pumpkin, so it also has to be pretty big, so I also gave it a pretty big part, which in reality you don't really need, but yeah, it just helped me organize it better. And here I add in the image texture from the files. I switched over to editing mode so I could actually see, or sorry, not editing mode, I actually switched over to shading mode so I can actually see the colors of my texture, which it looked right. So I moved on to the hood, or eyes next. This one took me a while because it didn't 100% fit right. Like, it looked good, but didn't exactly have the glow that I was going for. But you know, like over a while, it kind of made more sense, like in my head. So I decided to rotate it because there it looks kind of weird. So after rotating all of them and scaling them up, it made like the textures a little bit more visible, kind of, or yeah, it made the texture definitely more visible here. So now it's blue and light blue, which for some reason actually looks better. I don't know why. Chainmail looked a little weird because like the chains were a little too big. So instead I went back over to the file and kind of rotated it so to make it look more like to make the chains look bigger, unlike how they previously were. So I moved the texture files over and then I upscale it so it fits correctly, and yeah, you see now the chains are more condensed and smaller, so it looks more like a chain hood. I was gonna add like a brown, what's it called, outside. Oh yeah, that definitely looks deproportionate because the head's way bigger, but yeah, it's fine. I scale it quickly into shape. I mean, that would look kind of cool though. I don't think it would work though because the mesh would be too big, but I join all the objects together by pressing Control J when selecting multiple objects. And here I downscale it because it was way too big. I set the movement point to origin and I just put it over its head, the Roblox character's head. Once I found comfortable, I stretch out the head a little bit too because it's a little short for my liking. That was fine. And then I upscale it a little bit more to get more of a pumpkin vibe, and I tilt it a little bit to give it a scare factor. And after this, I believe I upload it to Roblox Studio because we are all done with sculpting the actual object file. So I upload the object file, and texture file is already saved from previously uploading it. So I just have to open up Roblox Studio, create a new duplicate of my previous dummies. Go check out the other videos if you want to see the other objects to the left of my dummy. But in this video, we just create a new mesh part. I attached it by accident at the start to the actual dummy, but I didn't need that. So I upload the object file, click over. As you can see, it's on the left on my first dummy because that's the world spawn, or like 0, 0 of the world. And I move the pumpkin over to the actual dummy. I do this by copying the the coordinates of the Roblox dummy and then just pasting it over, and it perfectly fits on. So I make it an accessory by clicking it using the accessory or asset creator plugin, which perfectly sculpts it into my second dummy, as you can see here, which means the accessory did convert correctly into the right file. And thank you guys. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and peace out.